Alright everyone, it is Dokkan time again, and today's how to build video is going to be for all 6 of the 40th anniversary manga Dragon Ball Dokkan characters. So, all of these units are very special as they are part of the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball in general, not Dokkan Battle specifically, but of Dragon Ball. Yes, Dragon Ball is so old that it is older than me and probably almost everyone watching. But anyways, so my name is Joe Saiyan. If you don't know who I am a Saiyan bald man that makes Dragon Ball videos, primarily Dokkan and a little Squadra on the side. But at the moment, the video you're watching is going to be going over how to build the hidden potential and skills of these 6 units. And I do actually have a couple quick notes before we really get into it, but if that all sounds good to you, please go ahead and open up a new volume of a manga, put it on the shelf, or take it off the shelf actually, take it off the shelf, look at it, read it, and then after that, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Anyways, that was kind of dumb. So I do have a couple quick things here to note, and I do have to first and foremost say I apologize. 6 characters all at once is pretty difficult, and honestly I had to make a really hard and tough decision here. I was thinking about it for a hot minute, and honestly it's the reason why this didn't get released on time. Well, there's several reasons why it didn't get released on time. But the primary reason it didn't get released on time is because all of these units, I had to decide if I was going to treat them as more of free-to-play-esque units or, better yet, as collection purposes. Each one of these units is very good in its own right to some degree if you can kind of force it, if you get the proper equipment, if you get them fully rainbowed, proper support, proper team, etc., etc. All very, very specific situations, and it's not just, yeah. They're pretty difficult to manage. They're not necessarily Dokkan Fest level. They're not really going to get you through much. I will say that a lot of these units can help you in Festival of Battle, thankfully. But they are not mandatory units by any means. Their banner is a very easy banner. You can rainbow just about all of these units within probably less than 200 stones if you have actually really good luck. It's very interesting in all honesty. But as I said, I do have to apologize for a couple things. One of those things is going to be that I'm only doing rainbow builds for these units. I will not be doing 1 dupe or 69 or 55% builds for these units. So if you do only get, say, a 55% of the Frieza on the screen, go for just full dodge in general. Try to just get as high as possible as you can with the equipment, which unfortunately brings me to another part of the issues of one thing to note is the equipment. The equipment for these units are limited. They are random, and they are probably the worst way to give anybody skill orbs. But at the same time, these are actually just limited units, so I do get it to a degree. But essentially, they have all of these very high level, powerful level 9 bronze orbs. They have level 5, 6, and 7 silver and gold orbs, but they are all very random in that you have to go to a limited attempt per day mission that you can only do 3 times a day, in which you will only get 1 silver, 1 bronze orb, and you can get 2 gold orbs. They are random. This is the part I have a problem with in putting them into my builds specifically, because there's a very small chance, I mind you, but probably a very likely chance that a lot of players that often will miss days and not do it every day, or just in general terrible RNG, you couldn't get maybe these orbs. It is very possible that RNGesus will just hate you and you will not get these orbs. So I do not want to apply them to these. I want to apply them with orbs that people can actually acquire at any time, not just right now. Like, for instance, a lot of people will be wanting this attack and defense orb that gives you level 5 attack and defense on the gold slot. This could help a couple of these units in particularly. But it's very possible you just won't pull any of these. I haven't pulled any of these. I only tried my first 3 attempts and I didn't get very much. So I will not be taking these into account. Please do take them into consideration. If I said to put a defense orb into a character, put the highest level defense orb you could get from this event, or attack orb, put the highest attack orb, and henceforth and so forth. Just try to apply it the best that you can. I apologize. These are limited units, as I said, and I do not wish to put that much more effort into them other than what I am doing right now, which is actually losing sleep. So, anyways, I apologize for that whole spiel of a short disclaimer on all of these units. Also, for once, I will actually be showing my personal builds of all of these units at Rainbow at the in the build suggestion point of this video. So, anyways, so we go through the normal stuff here. We're going to go through the breakdown of the unit. We're going to go through the defense. We're going to go through the build suggestions and then the roll tips in that order. Everything will be cycling on the right side of the screen. So look at that at your leisure. If you have any questions about it, of course, please do watch the video for the character specific points of the video. There will be timestamps. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and start. So I'm actually going to go ahead and start with the free-to-play, actual free-to-play part of this, these units, which is this Goku, the manga Goku. He is a login bonus that you can get and get dupes with missions. Now, he has several 200% leader options by all technical standards, but because he is so limited, he actually has very limited options. And honestly, as of the current time of writing, his best option would just be the Tech Vegeta, Goku Vegeta exchange unit from the 10th anniversary. I say this because this unit is in particularly a Majin Buu Saga unit and can actually lead a unit in each slot of the team that can coordinate with the restrictions of said unit. So, leader skill is just an all types, key plus 3 HP attack and defense 50%. He raises attack and defense for 1 turn on his super attack. He does have an entrance animation where all allies attack and defense are 40% for 40 turns. This just activates, no restrictions. Key plus 2 and then launches an additional attack that has a 70% chance of becoming a super. And this is going to apply to every single one of these categories. When there is a specific category, you will get attack and defense of 200% and then a 10% dodge chance. This applies to World Tournament. This applies to Saiyan Saga, Planet Namek, Android Cell Saga, and Majin Buu Saga. For every one of these categories, specifically only one time activated, which means you need to have a team that coordinates and has a World Tournament, Saiyan Saga, Planet Namek Saga, Android Cell Saga, and Majin Buu Saga all on one team. Because they are applied by sagas, this means that you will have to mandatorily have 1, 2, 3, 4 units on the team that are specific to Saiyan Saga, Planet Namek Saga, Android Cell Saga, and Majin Buu Saga. One of these in each of these departments could technically be on a World Tournament team, a World Tournament category, so that you don't have to split it up so much, and you could have one extra free slot. This can be applied usually to a Hercule from Majin Buu Saga, who would also be a part of World Tournament. It could potentially, believe, be a part of a Saiyan Saga unit or two, but overall, it's very difficult to get all of these off at once. But the last part of his passive, last 2 parts of his passive are what make him good, which is when there's an extreme class ally attacking in the same turn, he gets an additional 30% chance to dodge. With all of these being activated and that 30%, that gives him 80% dodge chance, which is insane, really. And then for every attack performed, he gets an additional attack and defense of 19%. Now, 19% is pretty bloody low. Now, in Festival of Battle, this can be taken advantage of, and you can stack up pretty bloody high as far as defense and even damage. But you do have to perform attacks for this. And this is the core of his kit. Essentially, if you use this Goku, you should be making sure that his entire passive is being procced, having all of these categories as part of the team, and then an extreme class enemy also on the same turn to make sure he has 80% dodge chance and putting him into slot 1. At that point, he's 80% dodge chance just slot 1 tanking, dodge tanking specifically, and then getting as many stacks as possible from his additionals. And that's pretty much how you want to use this unit. That is how his kit is built, and that's how you should use him. You can go ahead and take maybe one of these categories off, but I will tell you that it is a dramatic decrease in attack and defense. And yes, even that 10% extra dodge does make a difference in my personal opinion. But to each their own, of course. Now, Link skills wise, he is Saiyan Warrior Race, all in the family, Saiyan Lineage, Kamehameha, Shocking Speed, Shattering Limit, and Prepared for Battle. So obviously he's going to link up pretty well with a generic amount of Gokus, of course, in the game. Pretty much every single Goku and maybe a couple Gohans. The Super Saiyan 2 Gohan that is also a part of these manga units will link pretty decently well with him, just not having all in the family, unfortunately. But the big thing about this unit is trying to get all of this to activate and having an extreme class ally on the attacking rotation. That's what you should be trying to do, primarily. But anyways, now that we've gone through the breakdown of this Goku, we're just going to go ahead and move on to the next unit, which is going to be Piccolo. Piccolo is probably my least favorite, unfortunately, and it's primarily because of his restrictions. Now, moving forward from Piccolo, every single one of these units is probably going to be roughly the same. Their kits are going to look very similar. They're going to have similar restrictions, and that's just how these all are designed. They're designed to have similar restrictions and semi-ly work together to a degree. They're going to feel very free-to-play-esque, and that's why I'm treating them almost like a free-to-play. They're not free-to-play, but I'm treating them as such for the ease of my brain. 200% leader-wise for Piccolo, you're probably going to have a couple options. He's demonic power, thankfully, so you have the new mini 4Ku, Super Saiyan 4 Daima Goku. You have the AGL Goku Vegeta as a successor unit, and then Glorio. Glorio brings up a very interesting point that will be applied to the rest of these summonable manga characters. Glorio can be used as a leader for every single one of them, except Manga Goku, of course. Not applying the free-to-play Manga Goku, applying only to these other guys. Every single one of these characters is on Accelerated Battle, and he is an Accelerated Battle leader at 170. And then, of course, if you want double Glorio, you have actually 50% support off rotation by putting him in slot 3. So technically, Glorio is probably the best leader option for just about every single one of these guys. So do keep that in mind, Manga Goku being the only exception to that. Other leader options, I'm not really sure there's too many. He does have a pretty heavy restriction that makes it very difficult to run him on multiple other teams. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now, All Ally, he does have an interesting leader skill, and every single one of these manga characters, except for Goku, have the same exact leader skill. So I will not be repeating this moving forward, but they all have the same leader skill. All allies, Ki plus 2 HP 150% and attack and defense of 100%. Now, when the team includes super and extreme classes, plus an additional Ki plus 1 and HP attack and defense of 70% when team includes all 5 types. So essentially what this means is that you need to at least have one super and extreme class unit on the team. At least one. It can be 5 extreme and 1 super, or it can be 5 super and 1 extreme. It doesn't matter as long as there is at least one of each on the team. And you have a full rainbow colored team. So what this gives you is it gives you a 220% HP, but only 170% attack and defense, which is pretty par for the course as a 220 leader. Unfortunately, they just do not supply 220 attack and defense at all. But they are trying to go over that with their passive, and I'll get into that in a second. His super attack is raising defense for 3 turns, so that means additionals will pay a very hefty increase on his defense carried over from the previous turn. It is essential that this guy is getting his stacks from the previous turn and keeping them. activates the entrance animation when there is a World Tournament category enemy or another World Tournament category ally on the team at the start of the attacking turn, or when Goku is an enemy or on the team at the start of the attacking turn. I have to explain this very quickly, and it's very unfortunate, but when it says Goku specifically, unfortunately, it is not meaning anyone else. It means literally Goku. Not Super Saiyan Goku, not Super Saiyan Blue Goku, not Daima Goku, not Super Saiyan 4 Goku, not Kaioken Goku. No, just Kaioken Goku. I'm not really sure what possessed them to make this restriction, because he has another part of his restriction that wants Goku on the team, but this does apply to any Goku. So I'm not really sure what their whole deal was with doing that, but it really heavily hurt this Piccolo, I have to say. Anyways, his intro gives him attack and defense of 150%. It also gives him damage reduction rate of 40% and all allies attack and defense of 40% for 40 turns. Get it? It's 40 turns. It's the 40th anniversary. Anyways, so because this all allies attack and defense of 40% is applied right here, essentially they're trying to make up for this, the leader skill not being a full 220. Essentially the whole team is potentially able to apply this buff, so it does quote unquote make up for it in some ways, just not in the same ways, if that makes any sense. Leader skill and passive apply differently, of course, so it doesn't necessarily make up for it. But anyways, basic effects is Ki +2 and attack and defense of 200% and damage reduction rate of 20%. What this means is so long as you have the intro going off, you will have a 60% damage reduction with Piccolo. So yes, it is very, very mandatory to have his intro going on. Now, when there is an ally or an enemy named Goku, you will launch an additional super attack for free. Now, as I said, this doesn't just apply to only Goku. This does actually work if you have a Super Saiyan Blue or a mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Super Saiyan Kaioken Goku, it doesn't matter. It does not apply to Youth and Captain Ginyu and Goku Black or anything like that. It still applies to normal Gokus though. Now, when receiving attack 150% attack and defense, and when facing only one enemy, attacks effective against all types, and for every attack received, attack and defense of 16%. Now, I really wish they didn't make it as low as 16% because it doesn't really feel like he gets much. I think he actually has the lowest percentage increase of all of the manga units. I'm not really sure what possessed them to do that. Maybe I'm missing the joke with 16%, but it makes it pretty rough. It's good that he has 60% damage reduction, because if he doesn't have that 60% damage reduction and he's not in a safe spot, you could very easily die turn one because of this. So do treat Piccolo accordingly and be aware that he's pretty squishy until he's stacked up quite a good amount. Now, Link skills wise, Demonic Ways, Big Bad Bosses, Tough as Nails, Thirst for Conquest, Incredible Adventure, Guidance of the Dragon Balls, and Shattering the Limit. Unfortunately, this Piccolo also falls into the issue of being a Dragon Ball Saga unit, but not on the category. It makes it very difficult for Link partners, essentially. Big Bad Bosses is the primary Link you want to make sure you get, but otherwise, if you cannot get Big Bad Bosses, try your best to get the Dragon Ball Links or Thirst for Conquest, as those are the highest increases. Unfortunately, there's not too many primary Link partners you'll be able to utilize with him. I do think the free-to-play Demon King Piccolo will be a nice little substitute in some certain areas of the game you could maybe get away with. He'd be pretty nice after he finally fully gets youth. But, yeah. He could be a little bit rough, unfortunately. But, anyways. With all that being said on Piccolo, we're just going to go ahead and move on to the next unit. The next unit being STR Vegeta Scouter, specifically from the Saiyan saga. Notice we're going through all the sagas here. Now, Vegeta's 200% leader options are decent, but at the same time also kind of restrictive because of his passive. So as of right now, my only real suggestions would probably be the Goku Vegeta that fuses into Gogeta from 10th anniversary. Maybe the mini Forku as well. There's a couple other options you can go with, and of course Glorio, who is a universal leader for all of these units. There are several options here, but he does have a couple big restrictions that we need to make note of. Now, his super attack is greatly raises defense for 1 turn, and he greatly lowers attack of the enemy. His leader skill is the same as Piccolo. Now, normally I would say greatly raised defense is actually very huge, but there's one big thing people are not really understanding about these units that I've noticed is that their stats are abysmally low. And by abysmally low, I mean, like, if you don't rainbow them, they're probably going to be they're going to drag. It's going to look really bad. Like, their stats are extremely low. There's a reason why people are going to be valuing the attack and defense equipment a lot more, because their stats are so low. There are free-to-play units that massively gap these guys. This isn't anything new. If you were around in Dokkan Battle for when Dragon Ball Heroes was a thing, the Dragon Ball Heroes units also had lowered stats. So, but anyways, his passive is activate the entrance animation when there is a World Tournament or Saiyan Saga enemy or ally on the turn. At the start of the character's attacking turn. Now, that gives attack and defense 150%, that gives him 40% crit chance, and all allies attack and defense of 40% for 40 turns. So, the thing about this is that it's World Tournament or Saiyan Saga. World Tournament is a pretty crappy category. You could talk to Piccolo over here about that. World Tournament does not give a lot of options. World Tournament is a very terrible category. It is not cohesive whatsoever. It coincides primarily with Dragon Ball Saga, which a lot of these units still don't apply to. So it's still pretty rough. It's a very rough category. And as of the time of writing, I mean, once again, this STR Hercule is one of very few options you could technically use as a World Tournament unit that can still technically, like, slide by in content. Not many, if at all any, of these characters you see on the screen will be usable in today's content whatsoever, or in future content for that matter. I mean, you got a Junior for World Tournament, of course, and potential EZAs maybe in the future. But as of right now, the physical Piccolo from the manga and who else? And I guess LRTN would probably be your only other bets other than the STR Hercule. So a World Tournament category restriction being applied to any character just hurts them aggressively, especially for team options when they do not coincide together or mix well. In the case of Vegeta, it's pretty rough, but at the same time, it's not. It's not as bad as Piccolo has it, purely because it's Saiyan Saga. On Saiyan Saga, I feel like there are several options that are just kind of easy picks. Yamcha is an easy pick for a lot of teams. The giant ape Vegeta is an absurdly easy pick and good partner for this Vegeta specifically. Who else do we got? We have the manga Goku as well as a free-to-play unit, which is already kind of going with this team as it stands. I mean, you have Yajirobe, who is just a support unit you can float off on 70% dodge and support. And we have a couple EZAs in here that we could be looking forward to in the near future. So, I mean, Saiyan Saga is looking at least promising or doable, if that makes any sense. But yeah. Now, Ki +2 attack and defense at 200% and 30% chance to perform a crit and launches an additional super. So he double supers for free. He also guards as long as there's a Goku on the team. Now, when attacking with 12 or more Ki attack and defense at 100%, when receiving a super attack, damage reduction rate of 40% for one time only, and then attack and defense 100% every single time. And whenever guard is activated, attack and defense of 19%. Now, if it wasn't obvious here, each of these units have some form of stacking capability here. For Vegeta, it's whenever guard is activated, and specifically whenever a super attack is received. So this is a pretty big buff on the super attack, but because his stats are so low, it doesn't go crazy high. It just starts, once you get hit with a super attack by him, especially on that first one, you can feel a very big dramatic increase. But because the stats are so low, it's not as dramatic as, say, the Wrathful Broly that we got in September of 2025. Now, whenever Guard is activated, is an interesting mechanic. Essentially, if you didn't understand how Guard works, Guard is activated on a precise moment, meaning that regardless of if you dodge or get hit, you will activate Guard. Guard activates in the very moment of impact, essentially. So if Vegeta dodges, he is guarding still. So this is activating on that specifically. To go back to a point of Piccolo, Piccolo does not. So for every attack received, Piccolo needs to actually receive an attack in order for him to actually get this buff. If you apply dodge to Piccolo and he dodges, he will not get one of these stacks. So you need to be very careful. It's all based on keywording here. It's all based on keywording. And for Vegeta specifically, because of the way Guard works in the game's in the game's coding, you can dodge and guard at the same time. Therefore, you will always get this. But that's not the case if you're not guarding. So in the same instance, if you're guarding, so if Piccolo is being attacked by an intelligence unit, he's naturally guarding that, which means that he will get the stack from this if he dodges in that kind of scenario. But because he doesn't have a natural guard mechanic and we can't give units guard, I cannot suggest giving him dodge because it will not help him. It will just hurt him. He needs to stack aggressively. And if he dodges, that's hurting him a lot in short-term content. In long-term content, it might not do as bad. You know, Festival Battle, it'd be negligible potentially, but also really suck. I'm probably being... I could get attacked for that comment, so I kind of take that back. Piccolo needs to get hit, is what I'm saying. Vegeta can dodge and still get his stack, so he's safe on that. Now anyways, Link skills-wise, he has Saiyan Warrior Race, Prodigy's Royal Lineage, over 9,000 Saiyan Pride, Prepare for Battle, and Shattering the Limit. He is on several Vegeta links, of course, and he links well with quite a few other Vegetas, primarily the Giant Ape Vegeta. So we finally get to see what over 9,000 Link does. So he's a pretty good Link partner for him. He can be in slot 1 if your STR Vegeta cannot. If you do not feel like he is safe enough in slot 1, then this Vegeta can go in there. But I have noticed a thing where I want to put STR Vegeta in slot 1 so he can take as much hits as possible, but you don't want to put Giant Ape Vegeta in slot 1. So it becomes a kind of a weird like balancing act of what you can get away with, and it gets a little complicated. But otherwise, there is the Daima Mini Vegeta, who is a very good Link partner as well, and a good supporter. He's supporting with defense and critical. So because this STR Vegeta is actually a Dragon Ball seeker, that does help out quite a bit on the Mini Forku team. It does give a lot of good options for him. Which, if I didn't talk enough about his leader skill options, he does have, like I said, the AGL Gogeta 10th anniversary unit, Mini Forku, Glorio. There's quite a few options in there. It's just all dependent on if you can activate his active. All right, so we're getting to over the halfway mark here as far as breakdowns go. Going into Frieza. Now, Frieza is an interesting one, and honestly, I might get once again attacked for this, but as of the time of recording, after just some brief testing, I do feel like he is the best in the bunch. Though I also do feel like he's the most restricted in the bunch, and to a degree. Frieza, unfortunately, is not coming out in a time frame of where Wicked Bloodline is good. he's also not coming out in a time frame where technically Frieza's are good. Well, that's not true. It's more like Frieza's with big bad bosses. So, let's just go over it. 200% leader options go. Yes, Omega does exist, but I do feel like this Frieza could potentially throw off the team because of his restrictions. So I wouldn't necessarily say Omega is a good place, but he can go on to there. Otherwise, there is, of course, the successor lead for Gogeta, Vegeta, whatever you want to call him. 10th anniversary Gogeta. And that's pretty much it. He actually has the most restrictions, and yes, he is technically on Glorio's team. Just not 200%. He's only 170. I have the biggest issue with him in leader-wise. Like, he just doesn't fit on a lot of teams, and because he wants big bad bosses, it's a little rough. But, once again, he has the same leader as the other ones. Super attack, he greatly raises attack, and he seals the enemy super. So sealing is pretty nice. I don't see sealing that often enough anymore, so it's nice to see. And a 50% raise on defense is interesting. Now, his intro is goes off Saiyan Saga or Planet Namek Saga. Now, whereas Saiyan Saga, you do have several options, Namek Saga is a pretty rough category. Namek Saga has not received any like substantial buffs in recent time enough to warrant even a single kind of release like this. If you had to make a Planet Namek Saga team, it would be a terrible team, and it would have to be going into a very easy event by comparison of today's sake. For instance, this Frieza was very good on Easy A, on release. He's been very good, but because of the meta curve we got this year, he essentially gets crapped on very easily, unfortunately. Which is ironic because he did Easy A during the 10th anniversary. It's just because he doesn't build up enough defense fast enough, he can get creamed really, really quick. And then, of course, there's the other Namagoku. This Namagoku does amazingly well in Festival of Battles, of course. And Frieza can too, but we kind of come into the same issue that we had with the Vegeta, in that the perfect link partner for this unit probably is going to be fighting for slot 1, because that's what these both are. They're both technically slot 1s. Now, the full power Frieza can technically go into slot 2 or 3, it's whatever. But you want to have a link partner with this Frieza, because this Frieza is very good. Let's just go over his kit a little bit. So as long as you activate his intro, you have a 40% chance to dodge, and all out is attack and defense of 40%. And attack and defense 150. Now, basic effect is key plus 2 attack and defense 200% and a 30% chance to dodge. So essentially what that means is he is naturally a 70% chance to dodge for 40 turns. Now, when there's an enemy or an ally whose name includes Goku, you'll get another 10% chance to dodge, essentially giving you 80% dodge chance, which makes him perfect for a slot 1 unit or a slot 1 dodge tank. Now, he also gets a damage reduction rate of 10% for that. He also gets a damage reduction rate of 50% before receiving an attack and performs a critical hit. Essentially what this means is that if he's in slot 1 and he dodges an attack, and he doesn't get hit, he will perform a critical until he gets hit, essentially. Now, after evading an attack, he launches 2 additional super attacks for free, and then stacks up attack and defense by 100% for every dodge. And for every attack evaded, he also gets another attack and defense at 26%. Yow. So as you can see, he gets 126% attack and defense for every attack evaded and after evading an attack. So there's a huge amount of increase here. There is no reason not to go full dodge with this Frieza. He dodges. If he don't dodge, then he ain't gaining crap. So, yeah, full dodge. That's a lot of increase. You will probably see the most dramatic increase of damage and defense with this Frieza. I would say he is the prime unit in this bunch, and probably the best. Regardless of what equipment you get with him, it should just be full dodge. Maybe a little attack if you're brave. Now, Link skills, prodigies, big bad bosses, universe most malevolent, shocking speed, nightmare, shattering the limit, and strongest clan in space. Now, once again, unfortunately, Wicked Bloodline is not doing very well right now, so he has very little options. I have never liked the Super Easy Full Power Frieza. I think he's terrible, especially now. So I don't think he's quite a good option, but I will say that the Full Power LR Frieza is decent enough to be running along with him on successors. You just have to baby them a little bit. But regardless of a Link partner, if you don't want to try and focus up on that, he is just a good dodge tank in slot 1. The hardest part about his passive is really just getting Saiyan Saga or Planet Namek Saga on the team. If you can force push Great Ape Saiyan Vegeta onto here, you should be pretty much fine, not to worry. But yeah, very, very good unit. Very good unit in my personal opinion. All right, moving on to the next unit, which is going to be Gohan. So Gohan is, I think he's probably the damage dealer. He's the middle ground unit between all these guys. He's not really a tank per se, but he can definitely do some tanking. He's a little bit more complicated, mostly because he actually orb changes and needs orbs. So, with Gohan, he has quite a few options as far as demonic power goes, hybrids, Dragon Ball Seekers, or not Dragon Ball Seekers, but Glorio, of course. Youth, of course. I mean, with Youth, you have the Super Saiyan Gohan leader. You have Wrathful Broly, full power. You have, there's just so many options for teams for him that the only restriction you really have is getting off his passive, just like the rest of these guys. There's a lot of good team points for this Gohan. You know, this is like the 3rd or 4th freaking Super Saiyan 2 Gohan in the year. And you would think I would start getting annoyed of it, but honestly, I'm kind of happy about it. But anyways. Now, once again, they all have the same leader. If my voice sounds funny, it's because I'm sucking on a secret because my throat is sore from recording all of this, and if I am sick tomorrow, I'm going to be really mad about it. But you're all worth it, so I love y'all. Super attack, Super Kamehameha, or greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn. Now, his passive is the same as all the rest of them, except that you need to either be facing a Planet Namek Saga or Android Cell Saga enemy, or have one of those 2 categories on the team. What this will do is give you attack and defense of 150%, and change AGL key spheres to tech key spheres, and all allies attack and defense for 40 turns. Now this does apply every single turn, so AGL key spheres are being changed into tech key spheres. Basic effects of key +2 attack and defense of 200% and 50% chance of performing a crit. And when there's a Goku on the team, changes key spheres of STR to tech. So yes, this Gohan is a double orb changer. He changes STR and AGL key spheres to tech. Now for every key sphere obtained, attack and defense of 10%, and for 5 or more key spheres obtained, damage reduction rate of 20%, and launches an additional attack that has a 70% chance of being a super, and then 8 or more key spheres obtained, a damage reduction rate of 50%, and launches an additional super attack. And for every attack performed, attack and defense of 35%. So, what this means is that he has a 50% dodge, or a 50% critical hit chance. He has 50% damage reduction, as long as you have 8 key spheres. And he can perform up to 3 super attacks from his passive in total, and then 1 from his hidden potential. So this guy can quad super in a turn. That's a 35, 60, 120% increase in a turn, potentially. So, very, very good unit. Double orb changer, 50% damage reduction, quad supering, 50% crit chance, 50% damage reduction rate. He's very good. He's very good. This is a very good unit in general. The only thing he's held back by is his restriction. and his lowered stats. His lowered stats can definitely climb up pretty quick. He is a part of demonic power. Demonic power is very strong right now. The big weakness of him is that he's not a seeker. Now, Golden Warrior, Saiyan Warrior Race, Super Saiyan, Kamehameha, Shocking Speed, Prepare for Battle, and Shattering the Limit are his link skills, which pretty much makes it so he links with a majority of Super Saiyan and Gohan and Goku-esque units. He should link up very well with the Mini 4Ku and will be on his team as well. So pretty good synergy there with the brand new unit. I like him a lot. I mean, I think aside from Frieza, this Gohan is my next favorite unit in the group of manga units. And if you are able to get dupes of a unit, I would definitely say Frieza and Gohan are the primary characters to be focusing on. Now we're going to go over to the last unit and then start going over their defense numbers and then finishing it off pretty quickly. So, Boo is probably the most confusing. Now by that, I mean, by this, I mean, by the end of my summons, I ended up with enough for 2 copies of this guy, and I made 2 different builds for him. And I think I'm gonna actually use only one of them, unfortunately. But anyways, let's just kind of get into it. He's an interesting one. I would probably say he's the least good next to Vegeta or Piccolo. I really don't know at the right now, but he's a weird mixed bag for me. He's a jack of all trades, really. 200% options wise, he's on quite a few. Wrathful Broly, Mini 4Ku, of course, Mercenary Tao, Glorio again. Once again, Glorio is a leader for all of these units. And then, of course, the beloved Majin Power. But unfortunately, Majin Power is kind of past its prime. I wish it wasn't, but it is. So he's having a hard time finding a place to live. Leader skill wise, he has the same leader skill as the rest of them. He raises attack and defense on Super, and he actually AoEs. So this Boo has a potential ability to be a World Tournament unit. He also has a 50% chance of stunning. So with an AoE and stun chance on Super, already he has a World Tournament potential. So this is a World Tournament unit with very quick animations, I mind you. So this could be very, very good. Now, he is not an LR, so it does technically hurt a negligible amount of your points for World Tournament, so that is something to keep in mind of. His passive intro is for Android Cell Saga or Majin Buu Saga, so you need to be fighting an Android Cell Saga or Majin Buu Saga enemy, or you need to have an Android Cell Saga or Majin Buu Saga ally on the team. Now his attack and defense is 150%, and he launches an additional attack for free, super attack, and all allies attack and defense at 40%. So once again, this is perfect World Tournament synergy here, extra additional super, which means he does 2 AoEs right off the bat, and he's supporting the whole team by attack and defense at 40%. That's fantastic. Basic effect is Ki +2, attack and defense at 200%. He's got a 50% dodge chance, and he recovers HP with sweet treats. When there is an enemy or ally named Goku, he has a 50% crit chance and a damage reduction rate of 40%. Now, when attacking with 12 or more Ki, he has an attack and defense 100%, 70% chance of 150% attack, and a 50% chance of attack 150%. And for every attack received or evaded, defense plus 39%. Now, I'd like to go look at something real quick here. Now, I was very disappointed to see this with Boo, and I actually had to go to Proton and ask about it because it was bugging the crap out of me. So you see here, he says for every attack received or evaded. You go all the way back over to Piccolo over here. It's very obvious that this, once again, solidifies my point of why you can't give Piccolo dodge. For every attack received. This means that if you dodge, you will not get a boost on Piccolo's. Literally, Boo's passive proves this, because his is for every attack received or evaded. It's very fine-tuned into that key wording there, but essentially what it means is that Piccolo does not get his buff from dodging, and he has to get hit. Whereas with Boo, it doesn't matter if he gets hit or evades, he will get that buff. So, moving on. Link skill-wise, the Innocence, Revival, Master of Magic, Majin, Infinite Regeneration while standing tall and Shattering Limit. All of these links you probably will never see going off. Maybe Master of Magic a little bit on Demonic Power. But unfortunately, most of these links will not be going off. He is on quite a few categories. Primarily, he doesn't really have a link partner right now, though. As I said before, Majin Power is kind of done and over with. Past its prime, if you will. I'm sure some crazy mad lads like myself could potentially force a couple Majin Powers onto a Demonic Power team. It'd just be very difficult to balance it out, depending on the fight you're going to, of course. But obviously, you know, the other fat good Boo from World Tournament would probably be a good link partner for this guy if you really want to try. But yeah. So he's kind of a jack of all trades. Unfortunately, he has AoE stun chance in his super. Free additional super in there and support, 50% crit chance if there's a Goku enemy or ally. I mean, he really doesn't have anything particularly like excellent. Like, he doesn't do good in one area or the other. In his case, he does get a decent amount of defense for every time he's attacked, of 39%. I do think that that is more than every single one of them for their stacking capability. Even Gohan is only at 35, but that's attack and defense, so it's still a lot better. And of course, Frieza is just broken with his freaking attack and defense 100% after evading and 26%. So Frieza doesn't count. Vegeta is just absurdly good but crazy. He still needs to receive a super attack to get to 100%. And 19% whenever guard is activated. And then Piccolo with his minuscule amount of 16%. They did this because he has 60% damage reduction, by the way, if people didn't understand why. It's because Piccolo has 60% damage reduction. They think that that balances him out. I'm not really sure it does, but I haven't had enough time testing these units, and I really wanted to get this out. So, yeah, that's all of the breakdowns of all of the units. It only took me frickin' 40 minutes and dang near 3 o'clock in the bloody morning. But let's go ahead and go start taking a look at defense numbers and get on with the rest of the video. Alright, so these defense numbers are going to be compliments of Blood Raven. Appreciate you very much, my dude. We're going to start off at Goku down here below. So we're just going to try and zoom right through, but with 240% support, which is a full team of these guys along with him, you can look at a start of turn defense of 1 million with 6 attacks performed, and on super attack get up to 2 million, and then 2.6, and then 3.5 on a triple super. This is with 6 stacks, and this is also taking into consideration of the maximum amount of defense that you can get from the equipment. So but the normal amount that you could get without the equipment would be 2.4. So, as I said before, because of the insane amount of defense we can get from the equipment, it does ramp it up quite a bit after 6 attacks or so. After 3 attacks, you'll see about a 500, 600k defense increase. If you don't have any stacks, it's probably around 400, 500. So, there is a big increase as far as the equipment goes. So if you can get the defensive equipment for these units, it will make a dramatic increase. Just be very wary of which one you're giving defense equipment for. I don't think Frieza is going to need it, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I do think that the manga Goku definitely could use the defense equipment. Now this is once again with the maximum defense equipment that you can potentially get. We're just going to go all the way up here. So after 10 attacks and 3 super attack effects, meaning you triple supered on the previous turn and you have been hit 10 times, on super attack, you could be at 4,400 defense with Piccolo. With 60% damage reduction, that's actually insane because that means he can tank essentially an 8 million plus super. So Piccolo, as much as I don't like his restrictions, he is actually absurdly good and can benefit probably one of the most from the defensive equipment orbs that you could give him. So he is very high, very, very high quality on that. I mean, getting hit 10 times, that's nothing. Getting hit 10 times safely, well, that's another 10 times safely. But anyways. So, yeah, if he gets hit 10 times and he has 3 super attack effects from the previous turn, you could be looking at some nice 3 million defense ranges with 60% damage reduction. You're pretty safe. This is also calculating with big bad bosses though, so do adjust accordingly if you do not get him with big bad bosses on your team. Now let's go look at the Vegeta over here. A Scouter Vegeta, of course. Turn 1, 220%. We're not looking too hot here. You know, guard activated for the first time at 600k, 700k if you have orbs. On super attack, he goes up to 1.5 with 2 million defense if you have all of the defense orbs in his equipment at Rainbow, of course. And if he double supers, 2.7, which he double supers for free. And if he does get a triple super, he will be at 3.4. But I can't express enough how much this guy just needs to get built up. Dodge is going to help quite a bit. He does feel pretty weak in all honesty, to the point of where I personally would rather just give him dodge and put the rest into additional, or maybe mix it up. But Vegeta is probably on the lower end of the scale for me personally. So if he receives 5 attacks, 240%, 10 attacks, let's just go to the 10 attacks. So if he receives 10 attacks, not supers, by the way, let's just say he receives only 1 super attack, he jumps up quite a bit. Like, receiving 1 super attack will pump him all the way up to 2 million defense. But then receiving a total of 5 attacks, again, on top of the 10 attacks that you already received, so 15, you would be at about 2.4 million defense, and on super would be 3 to 4 million. And then an additional would be 4 to 5 million. Now, he does have guard as long as Goku is on the team. So as soon as you get up to that about 10 stacks, you are looking pretty safe. Anywhere from 5 to 10 attacks, you start looking pretty safe-ish. I mean, don't get me wrong, 5 million defense with only guard isn't good enough. I will tell you that. And that's partially why I did decide to just kind of say you really should want to either put him on the full manga team, where he'll be the safest at stacking up all of his defense, or you want to go in dodge with him. And I'll be honest, if you know me, if you've watched my streams in the past and you see how I talk about dodge, I don't like dodge. I hate dodge. Dodge doesn't work for me. So if I give a unit dodge, it's probably because the unit actually needs it. So just keep that in mind. But of course, everything I say in here is all just merely suggestions. So to each their own, everyone has different RNG. By all means, switch out dodge with additional for Vegeta if that's what you're more comfortable with. In my testing with him so far today, I was not pleased with the results, and I was more terrified of him not dodging early on. So I chose to give him dodge. But that could change in the future. I will make notes in the comments below if I change my mind on it. Moving on to Gohan. Gohan, looking pretty nice. Looking pretty gnarly, actually. Support, turn 1, 170, 240% support. Essentially what this means is on a full manga team, essentially. Not looking crazy, but once you get 4 attacks in, you'll be up to about 1.2 to 1.7 million defense. On the additional, you'll skyrocket up to about 2.5 million. And then on the triple, you'll shoot up to 3.5. And then the third will be 4.6. He does have 50% damage reduction, and this is with only 4 attacks on a 220. You're looking pretty similar on the 170 manga team at 3.4. So Gohan is looking pretty dang good, you know, at the bare minimum with those raw stats. He really does want to get those attacks, and with 8 attacks in on a 220%, you can be at 2.5 million, and then the additional is 3.7, and then this third is 5 million. So additionals are pretty much his bread and butter. He's not meant to be going into slot 1. He's meant to be in slot 2, where once he starts additionaling, his defense gets so stupidly high that he just tanks absurdly. And the more he stacks up, the crazier he gets. Remember, 50% damage reduction, but as long as you get 8 key spheres. You got to get 8 key spheres with him, and you can have some insane levels of defense with this Gohan at up to 4 or 5 million defense. But he's got to get those additionals off, man. He's got to. So make sure you prioritize the orbs with Gohan, so long as you safely can. Now we're on to Frieza and then Buu last. Frieza, honestly, I do feel like his defense is a little irrelevant because he can have 80% dodge. He just needs to just dodge in general. He doesn't have like 50% damage reduction or anything like that. So he just really does need to dodge. He does have suitable amount of defense. After dodging 5 attacks, he'll be anywhere from 1.5 million to 2 million defense. So that's pretty good and survives a pretty good amount of normals. So I'd say he's pretty safe in general. And then once you get up to 10 attacks dodged, I mean, you're going up to 2.5 to 3 million plus ranges, depending on the team and synergy and big bad bosses and so forth. You can get up to 4 million on 10 attacks dodge with with a 170 manga team. He's pretty good. He is pretty good, but he's primarily a dodge unit. So regardless of his defense, you want him to dodge supers and tank normals at most, at best. Now with Buu, he's kind of a jack of all trades, like Blood Raven is saying right here. I 100% agree. He's literally a jack of all trades. His defense can get up decently, but it doesn't look like it goes too high. So on a manga team, 170 in all of their support, after 5 attacks evaded or received, he's only at 1.3 million defense. On super, 2.3, additional 2.8. If you get his hidden potential to proc, it'll be up to 3 million. I don't feel like that's very good. It's pretty low by comparison to the others, I guess is what I'm saying. He really needs to attack. He needs to get hit and evade a lot. And I do mean a lot in order for him to get up to a good amount. I mean, it's not that bad. I think I'm giving him more crap than he deserves. But, you know, 3.5 million defense on super. I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, did Buu have 50% damage reduction or anything? Hold on, let's go look at that real quick. Did Buu have 50% damage reduction? No. He has 40% damage reduction. That's not too bad. Okay, I take it back. These numbers aren't too bad. 40% damage reduction, I think I can roll with that a little bit. As long as he's getting his additional in there, getting up to about that 4.2 million defense. Yeah, I think 40% is pretty good. Yeah, no, that's pretty dang good. He does have to get hit or dodge quite a few times and, you know, be fully supported, of course. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty reasonable. I think he's pretty good. I think he's a pretty good unit defensively. Offensively, I'm not so sure, but defensively, definitely is pretty decent. So, appreciate you, Blood Raven, for all those defense calculations. Remember, folks, most of those defense calculations were all with the equipment that you can get from the event. If you don't know what the event is in question for the equipment is from the Dragon Ball 40th Pinnacle Fighters. Make sure you go do that right away because you can only do it 3 times a day, and it does end on November 28th. So after November 28th, they will no longer be obtainable, and you can only do it 3 times a day. So be very wary of that. So every time you do clear it, though, you will get one of these gold orbs specifically. It does not say which level of these gold orbs, but you could get one of these from the boss battle specifically. And for clearing it 7 times, you will get one of each of these, which is only a level 5, unfortunately. These are level 4 for 15, clearing it 15 times, and for 20 times, these are also only level 5s, I believe. So just be wary of that. It's still a very good stage. You just fight one of the manga characters. But yeah, it's hopefully people get good drops from it. I so far have only gotten 1 good drop out of it, but you know, there's always tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be able to get some other stuff out of it. Hopefully I get a lot more defense orbs, because that's honestly what I feel like I'm going to need for these units. So, with all that being said, and finally done with the defense numbers and equipment, let's go ahead and go finally at the build suggestions. Alright, we're going to start with Goku here on the side here. Goku, I just suggest going full additional. As I said before during the breakdown, if you're going to be using this guy, make sure you are rocking him with a World Tournament, Saiyan Saga, Pandemic, Cell, and Majin Buu Saga team with an Extreme Class ally on the rotation. This gives you an 80% dodge chance and makes it so he can safely sit in slot 1 or whatever slot is safest for him to just stack up. Okay? That is the whole point of him. You want him to stack. He's a pretty good unit for Festival Battles in this sake. I have already tested him before the manga units came out, except for him. And in Festival Battle, I got him all the way up to Daima, and this dude was hitting over 10 million damage, and he was tanking. I mean, like, he's good. He's very good, but you gotta meet his restrictions. So I do suggest additional primarily, but do go ahead and give him just a little bit into the dodge or crit. It's entirely up to you. Just remember, he doesn't have any crit built into his system, so if you give him a little bit of crit, it might go a long way as far as damage goes if you go into Festival with him. That's going to be my only suggestion for him. He is a free-to-play unit, so you should get him rainbowed if you're playing right now at the time of recording. Now, I'm going to do the roll tips along with the build suggestions for these guys, mostly because each one of them is just slightly a bit different. In the sake of Goku, Goku is very specific. Now, of course, you can just rock a full manga team, meaning you're just going to go ahead and rock every single... I didn't mean to hit that. Just rock every single one of these guys on a team, and you should be fine. But if you don't want to rock the manga units, your options are pretty slim. At that point, I do highly suggest you just go ahead and rock the Vegeta 10th Anniversary unit Goku. And for a Planet Namek unit, I would suggest using Namek Goku at best or worst. Maybe you could, no, you can't throw on Frieza. So yeah, your options are pretty limited with him if you're not rocking him on the manga team. Hercule, once again, is a World Tournament unit, but also he is a Majin Buu Saga unit. So, if you did choose to use one of these other units, you could just use him, and hopefully he dodges, and you have your Majin Buu Saga World Tournament. As far as an Android Cell Saga unit, obviously Super Saiyan 2 Gohans, either the physical, the LR tech, or the new manga tech one. And then Saiyan Saga, of course, and just remember, it does say another Saiyan Saga unit, so it doesn't count himself as a Saiyan Saga unit. So you do need to have probably one of the Scouter Vegetas as the Saiyan Saga unit. I would say slot 1 is his best option, but really you need to just put him wherever is safest for him to dodge and stack up. Once he stacks up enough, he can be pretty safe in slot 1. It just really depends. So, as long as you have his passive going off and he has 80% dodge chance, I do think he can go into slot 1. If you are missing any of these, I do not suggest it, and you put him into slot 2 or even float him. Now, moving on to Piccolo. So with Piccolo, he gets a little bit more complicated, but as I said before, we already discussed this. putting dodge on him hurts him because you cannot stack. You will not stack for this. We have already seen this with Majin Buu. That proves that you need to actually get hit. Buu can get hit or evade. Piccolo cannot. So, Piccolo does not need dodge because if he gets dodged, then he's compromising his ability to stack, and if he doesn't stack enough, then, well, yeah. And besides, once you get stacked up enough with that 60% damage reduction, you should be pretty nice and healthy. The biggest increase in your defense that you can get will be at a certain point getting that triple super from the previous turn to go off. I don't think his damage is going to go insanely high, but otherwise, since we're not giving him dodge, you might as well just go ahead and put the rest in the crit. For his bronze, I do suggest defense. A defense orb would probably be the best choice for him. If you get any of the equipment from the 40th anniversary, of course, make sure you put in defense orbs to maximize his defense, as it will help him quite a bit. Otherwise, go for additional, primarily in the silver and gold orbs. And once again, I apologize, I'm not doing 69 or 55. If you only got one copy of him, just focus up on additional. He's already a physical type. At 55%, you would be at, you can put a level 5 silver in him, and that would put him at a level 10 additional. So, no crit for anybody at 55 or 69. Just focus up on additional. Now, as far as his roll tips go, he does have a couple different options in general. Technically, you can go rock the Cell team. Cell is an interesting choice, primarily because he does have his domain for tournament participants, which this guy is. And he's also another big bad boss unit that you could be rocking. So it is interesting to attempt to go ahead and put this guy on the same team. I don't think it's a very good choice, but it is a very decent choice for Piccolo. Also remember that each one of these manga units can activate their own passive by having a friend leader. So if you cannot find another World Tournament or Goku unit to activate his passive, if you use a double leader or just use a Piccolo leader here, he will count as a World Tournament unit and activate his intro. So just keep that in mind. They will activate their own intros if a same friend unit is chosen as that. Now, as far as his other leader options go, obviously Demonic Power with Mini Forku, Glorio, Accelerated Battle, and Demonic Power, and then of course Vegeta for successors. Now, partners-wise, I would say just Frieza, purely because of big bad bosses, and he's a perfect slot 1 unit if you're feeling like it's too dangerous to put Piccolo into slot 1 right away. 80% dodge unit, of course. Same thing with Manga Goku. If you can get him to his if you can get his full passive going, 80% dodge chance slot 1 unit can definitely make up for that. Otherwise, the LR Demon King Piccolo free-to-play LR is a nice link partner to be rocking with this guy. But you do, once again, need a World Tournament unit to activate his passive. So just be very wary of that. Best slot position, once again, this is going to happen for quite a few of them, but pretty much every single one of these guys wants to get hit. And because they want to get hit, they want to be in slot 1. Because that's the most prominent slot position where you will be receiving attacks. So do adjust accordingly. Like, for instance, if you did rock Frieza instead, Frieza will go in slot 1 above him primarily. And then hopefully he will stack safely in slot 2. I struggled with putting him to slot 2 instead, but he just needs to, he has such a low percentage of buff from being attacked that I felt like I really needed to put him in slot 1. But he probably is more of a slot 2 unit in realistic terms, in all honesty. So, with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and move on to the next one, which is going to be Vegeta. Now, Vegeta is an interesting one, and I do have to, once again, apologize. I don't go full dodge on a unit unless I absolutely feel like they need it. I do feel like this full dodge build is more of a personal choice, and I probably would have a hard time suggesting this over additionals. Especially after looking at Blood Raven's defense numbers. His defense numbers are quite increased on that additional third super. Now, I struggle with wanting to give him additional because in my testing already after summoning with him, his defense is already pretty bloody low in general, and I felt more safe just applying the dodge because regardless of him dodging or not, it will be going off. So once again, if you're not familiar with how guard works on an exact timing for basis. So regardless of if you dodge an attack, guard is being applied on dodge. So because every time guard is activated, he gets attack and defense at 19%, he is safe to dodge and get that buff. But yeah, so I would have to say that the full dodge or full additional would be best. I would even argue to say maybe even full additional for the primary amount of players. I think full additional would probably be the same way. So in that case, do flip the additional and dodges around. They would be the same numbers, by the way. It would be level 15 additional and level 6 dodge. So if that sounds better to you, by all means, go for it. I'm not even 100% sure on this one with Vegeta. Vegeta's kind of in a weird spot for me, in all honesty. That, and I keep going back and thinking about it. If I take him into Festival of Battle, he's going to lose 40% crit chance 40 turns in, and then he's only going to have 30% chance to crit, which is going to suck because if he's built up excessively and he has no damage coming out, yeah, I don't know. It's really highly situational, and I suggest you think about how you want to use the guy, but it's really hard to say. It really is super hard for me to say on Vegeta, and I do apologize for that. Vegeta, I could not come up with a very solid response within a timely manner. But, yeah, for a full rainbow, I would suggest either full additional or full dodge. One of these two, and put the remaining into either crit or the other. I know that's very complicated, and I apologize. But yeah, once again, if you get the defense numbers for the equipment, I highly suggest giving him the highest level of defense, not just a level 5. Now we're going to just go ahead and move on to the next one because it's getting super late for me and I need to hurry up and I'm tired. But roll tips for Vegeta. Once again, slot 1, he needs to get hit with super attacks to get that 100% attack and defense on upon receiving a super attack. He needs to get hit to build up. That's pretty much the only way he builds up. He's not doing too much else other than lowering the enemy's attack. He doesn't, I mean, he has the same support that everyone else has. He's not doing an excessive amount, and honestly, I would give him more stonks if this damage reduction rate stayed, but it doesn't. He just has the guard. Guard is good, but guard is not that good. So, I do feel like he needs to go in slot 1 just to stack, but if you don't feel like it's safe enough early on, then obviously put him into slot 2. This is a hard choice when it comes down to him and Piccolo, because they're not technically safe in slot 1, but they do need to stack up. It's a risk-reward kind of scenario. And he does have the Saiyan Saga and World Tournament restrictions, which makes it very difficult to put him on extra teams other than the manga team or a straight, yeah. So Glorio, once again, Mini Forku, the 10th anniversary Goku Vegeta units, and then of course he himself as a leader can proc the Saiyan Saga active, and World Tournament manga Piccolo can also proc it because he's a World Tournament unit. Those are my choices for his leader skill. I do think he is still a defensive unit, by the way. Moving on to Frieza. So with Frieza is pretty easy. He's straightforward. He is a full dodge unit. No questions asked. Honestly, I'd be surprised if anybody honestly built him any different. He's just pretty much straight up full dodge. I mean, he's getting freaking 2 additional super attacks, an extra attack and defense of 100% after evading an attack, for crying out loud. And that's every time. And then for every attack, evaded attack and defense 26%. I mean, is there any reason not to give him dodge? Because I don't see any reason not to. Oh, he has 50% damage reduction. Yeah, no, he's crazy. He's absolutely crazy. So yeah, I mean, full dodge. There's no reason not to. That's how his passive goes off. He's performing a critical hit before he gets hit. So as long as he's not getting hit, he's auto critting. He's got free additionals. He's just busted. You don't need to know what the 55 or 69 or 1% is. You don't need to, because you just know, go full dodge and he's fine. But anyways. With that, well, his role tips are the harder part. Leader-wise, he pretty much just needs to go on to either his own manga leader team. He can go on to the successor team with Vegeta and force another Frieza onto there. Otherwise, Glorio is once again a middle ground. He'll only be 170 though. And I would say that Omega exists, but he really throws off the groove of the team, and especially since you need a Saiyan Saga and Planet Namek and a Goku onto the team. That is the other thing about Frieza. Like, Frieza is very stupidly good, but he needs a Goku. He needs a Saiyan Saga or Planet Namek Saga unit on the team with him. He does have his restrictions. He is very good, but he does have his restrictions. He is straight up a slot 1 unit because he gets the super attacks but after evading. So pretty much half of his kit activates after dodging. So the only spot you can do that is in slot 1, otherwise it's just AoEs. Now moving on to Gohan, and then finally be done. So for Gohan, full additional. As you saw, his defense numbers are pretty bloody high just from getting a few stacks in. He's not safe in slot 1, so he definitely needs to be in slot 2, but he just needs to be straight up full additional. He does benefit quite a bit from defense orbs, but if you're going to give him a defense orb, make sure it's the highest possible one in his bronze. And like, I mean the highest possible one to make it worth it, because I feel like his kit really does benefit much more from an extra stack of a super attack. So that is the other issue I do have with him, is that he only gets buffs from super attacks, not normals. So you do need to super in order for that to happen. And he does need 8 key spheres to get that 50% damage reduction and to potentially get a triple super just from naturally. So double orb changing, 50% crit chance. I mean, he doesn't need to dodge, he needs to stack, because he stacks up pretty high and is pretty decently defensible. So I feel like his additional is very valuable. He is straight up a damage dealer. That is what he is. He is a damage dealer. Leader-wise, he has actually very good options with Demonic Power Mini Fork, who I don't think it's necessarily out of the question to just throw on another one of the Super Saiyan 2 Gohans of physical or int or tech onto the team just to get that Cell Saga activation. That is his biggest restriction, once again, though, is the Android Cell Saga restriction or Planet Namek Saga restriction. The Mini Forku will count for his passive, so. Partner-wise, I mean, you have the newly Easy Aid Kid Gohan, Beast Gohan, Mini Forku. I think these are all very solid options. And in Festival of Battles, the Namek Goku is a obvious perfect partner. So, best slot position is still going to be slot 2, though. Maybe in Festival you can throw him into slot 1 every now and again, but he's probably just going to auto-kill. That's going to be the tough spot in Festival of Battle, is balancing him out. To not auto-kill every stage and let others stack. But yeah, slot 2 for him, for sure. Now, we're going to move on to the final unit so that my throat can heal and I can go to work with like 3 hours of sleep. Majin Buu. Very interesting unit. I do feel like he has 2 different builds, and I have to say that because he is technically a world tournament capable unit, but he's also kind of a dodge unit. It's very interesting. He's a jack of all trades, and he can change aggressively based on your hidden potential that you do decide to give him. So for one build, I would say just go full dodge on him and put the rest into additional. He's not going to do a crap ton of damage in general for most fights, but he does have a free additional super. He's stacking up 39% defense for every time he's evading. So, I mean, with a 50% chance to dodge and then a full dodge in his hidden potential, I'd say he's going to dodge pretty often and stack up pretty nicely. And I do mean full dodge, so I do literally mean gold, silver, and bronze, all dodge equips. But then there is the other side of it, where if you go into World Tournament, you know, you're not always going to fight a Goku or have a Goku on the team. And at that point, you want to give him crit anyways, because the whole point of World Tournament is just to blow the whole freaking enemy team away. So that's when I can say that, because he already innately will have launched an additional attack. So he's already double supering. He has these random chances to proc these extra increases of damage. And I just feel like he does have that World Tournament potential there, especially since he stuns on super. And then putting an attack orb into him, put the rest into crit for his silver and gold for a World Tournament. I do feel like this is a viable thing you could consider. I don't think this is something everyone's going to do. It's something I have done and will try out. But until we get another World Tournament, I don't even know if this is a good idea. It's just something you can do. Otherwise, I think the majority of people, you're probably all going to go for full dodge, which is what I would suggest for every normal person that doesn't take World Tournament into consideration of anything. So, yeah, full dodge and put the rest into additional. He's just kind of there to dodge, heal up a little bit, and move on. And last but not least, his role tip. His role tip will be that he is a support-esque unit. Leader-wise, I do suggest for World Tournament, just put him under my junior's lead, or his own, of course, in general. For in general play, he can either be under his own leader, Glorio. You can put him on Omega's team. He does go onto it, but he might hinder the team a little bit. Do let me know if that does work. I don't know if it actually will work or not with him. It just is capable of doing it. Because he still has his restrictions. He still needs another Majin Buu Saga or Android unit. The Android Cell Saga unit. And I don't know if that's possible with Omega. So, although it's possible, I don't know if it'll work. And once again, Glorio or Mini Forku for demonic power. Partner-wise is really rough for Buu, unfortunately, because Majin power isn't very strong right now. Even on demonic power, it's not very strong. It gets really rough. Like, majority, if not all, Majin power units will probably link well with him to a decent-esque degree. But he still needs a Majin Buu Saga or Android Cell Saga unit on the bloody team just to even move. But yeah, otherwise, his best link partner is himself, the World Tournament kind of fat tech Buu for all of his links, almost all of his links. So yeah, and I think that's gonna be it for me. It was an adventure. This was quite the adventure. My throat is sore. I'm probably gonna be sick now. But anyways, please do go ahead and watch the video. Give me a like, subscribe, and a hype button. Comment below. Let me know how many copies of each of the units you got. And I will try to place in 69 or 55% builds in the comments at a later date when I am not dying. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching, and good luck on your summons. I hope y'all have a good day and a good night.